So financial market focus primarily on the bond market and rising yields, especially that of the US when you compare it to, say, those of the Eurozone. And that meant that it was really advantage US last week in the FX market, and in turn for the greenback, in this case, relatively outperforming against most of the remaining FX majors. So when we take a look at the latest commitment of traders report out of the CFTC for where larger speculators have been positioning themselves, they're still majority buy the euro, still in heavy buy territory, but a clear case of ongoing unwinding. In this case, a reduction in longs, simultaneous increase in shorts. They're down to 70%, which is still a significant figure. It's going to need a whole lot more to try and take them towards the middle or even towards majority short territory. What about when it comes to the pound? Majority long bias has increased. However, it's not due to an increase in longs. In fact, long positions have actually dropped for the pound. It has to do with an even bigger reduction when it comes to shorts. And an interesting one has to do with safe haven currencies, yen and franc. These really underperformed as of late, and they were previously holding extreme buy bias in both. So far, though, when it comes to the yen, real case of unwinding. In this case, down to just 59%. Not much needed there to shift back to majority short. And when it comes to commodity currencies, it's the Canadian dollar that actually managed to best the greenback, albeit slightly, and that's because of its energy underlying, thanks to the surge in oil prices following the OPEC Plus meet last week. And in this case, they've increased their majority long bias prior to the event, and they remain majority long when it comes to New Zealand dollar, and they've shifted to majority long when it comes to the Australian dollar, though, to be fair, still very, very close to the middle, not needing much to shift back to a slight sell bias. And when it comes to commodities, the big one, of course, has to do with oil. In this case, continuing to hold an extreme buy and unchanged bias at 80%. Clear beneficiaries of last week's moves as well as this morning's gap higher. And when it comes to precious metals, though, they generally underperformed last week. Yes, gold has gapped a bit higher this morning, but generally speaking, they underperformed last week. They continue to hold an extreme buy bias in gold, but you can see they are starting to unwind. It is starting to come down a little bit. Same holds true for silver with its heavy buy bias with a reduction in long, simultaneous increase in shorts, as well as slightly when it comes to platinum. Lastly, when it comes to indices, they have shifted from a slight sell S&P to a slight buy. They remain slight sell in the Russell, about 54%, but when it comes to both Dow and the tech-heavy NASDAQ, well, they're pushing further into bear territory when it comes to sentiment, anticipating further turbulence.